this is Clint's film. I mean, I was not involved at all. I mean, I wrote the screenplay, but I was not involved.
Well, one thing that struck me about Clint's direction, and I'm a big admirer of his, and I have been for a long time, and I think what he knows how to do is reach the emotions that are in the material, to find the emotions there. That's what he seems to respond to when he reads a piece of material. What did he say to you in response to the material when he talked to you, to explain why he wanted to direct it?
Well, the first conversation we had on it was in the last week of filming. Yeah.
I am still flabbergasted by
yeah,
this.
I am kind of too. But
so what information came back to you at all in terms of an explanation for why he wanted to direct this screenplay?
He's read your screenplay and he really loves it. Okay, I look forward to the phone call.
There will be no phone call.
No. Apparently they're meant to be a phone call. Then, at this point, I was feeling a little strange about it, because it is strange. It's so removed, and it goes to the core, I suppose, of what I think a writer is, you know. And that's why I really like what I've seen with, I'm going to forget names, so please, but the people who made Hurt Locker.
Bigelow
and she has a writer.
Yes.
And, well, she has a writer. The writer has a director.
That's right.
You know, that very much, certain perception was it was very much a collaboration. A two-headed, right. It was an animal with two heads.
Correct.
And Fincher and...
Very much from the inception of the project.
Yeah, and Fincher and Sorkin and you know, that's certainly how I've always worked. So,
very much so, with Greer's especially.
Yeah, and Ron and Tom Hooper and everybody really close.
So this would have been radically different for you. I see that.
It was incredibly different.
But you're right, he doesn't work with other writers in that way. He never has.
And I was some of the...
But I didn't realize that he didn't talk to them at all.
Well, that's not unfriendly. I ran into him at something, you know, so we did meet. But it was at an awards thing last year, and you know, he said the nicest things, and but you couldn't call it creative engagement. but then I was told something really, and this sort of went the whole way to making me sort of go, oh, okay. Apparently, when there was an issue with casting Matt Damon. There was an issue with Matt's availability. And Clint wanted to go in August. What year are we? 2010. He wanted to go in August 2009. And Matt was not available until March this year, 2010. So that was a wait, you know, an uncomfortably long wait for Clint, who likes to make a film, you know, a year, it seems. And apparently on the way back from South Africa, when it became clear that there was going to be a really long wait for Matt's casting, he said to his producer, why don't we look at some other scripts, maybe we should not do Hereafter. And they had the other 10 scripts that he had read and loved. And he read all of those and Hereafter, and he said, no, I want to do Hereafter. And that's not, it clearly speaks to him and connects with him.
Do you think it's because he's at, you know, closer to the end of his life than the beginning?
No, I have every confidence that you and I will be long dead before Clint, and that Clint will be 147 and still making films. So Clint will be working in media that we haven't even discovered yet. So, no, I don't think so at all. I think that part interests him less than the longing and the loneliness and the desire for connection and the romance. He's very romantic.
Interesting.
None of the conversations I've had with him, the conversation I had with Steven Spielberg was all about near death. The conversations I've had with Clint have all been about mountaineering. No, they've all been about. They were all about guys and girls. It was romance. It was definitely. In other words.
Well, some of the material that I like the best in this movie is very frank and very honest, I think, about the relationships between men and women and what goes wrong with them and how especially the Cecile de France character and her bad, you know, it's the signals are there that the editor is not going to come through for her, and that her career. It's a fascinating way that her career goes crazy. I liked it. I really responded.
Well,
to her.
she started off being the most, you know, the most successful and well recognized
Anchor,
news anchor in France, and ends up as this sort of
wacky,
yeah,
you know,
yeah, this nut job.
Yeah,
and well, of course she isn't.
Well, so you must have done a lot of research into the hereafter, the white light and all of that. Do you?
I didn't actually.
So now, why not? But there's a lot of evidence that people share the same experience.
Yeah, I read that, and you know, hospices, really interesting. You know, when people are close to death, and then they don't go, but they come back, and you know, so. But the side of the story that I think possibly I would have liked to have explored a bit more is precisely that part of her book that sort of you know, the story gallops a little bit there, and that actually she's onto something. The idea that there is a sort of an institutional collusion to not discuss this as an issue, and that it makes people so uncomfortable. That's the part of a script I really like. And
well, I suspect that there's a lot of people who respond to the movie a little bit the way you do, in the sense that when you have 3 stories like that, you may want more of one or the other, or all 3. And I did experience that.
Yeah.
Because that's the risk.
Yes.
that you take with this kind of story.
But the benefit of the story is that it somehow, of that structure, is that, for me, I don't expect other people to necessarily agree with me, but is that it reflects in some shape or form a modern consciousness that I recognise. Because, I mean, I live in Vienna and I travel to London, New York, Los Angeles. I'm, you know, constantly jet lagged and moving in and out of different cultures. And just working on the internet, when someone sends you something and you click on it, then you click on a link, and you click on a link, and mental activity is going sideways, and it's random.
That's what it's like these days.
And it's short, and the idea of multi-stories happening and needing your attention at the same time, that feels like how my life is.